The stability of measurement. Think of the test-retest method. The primary method for estimating the stability of measurement. Performing a complete repetition of the exact measurement and then correlating the results of the two measurements. The resultant correlation coefficient is sometimes called the coefficient of stability. It is taken as an estimate of the measurement reliability, stability. Equivalence of measurement. The primary method, the alternate or parallel forms of method. This is accomplished by correlating the scores of two different forms of a measure of the same attribute. The resultant correlation coefficient, sometimes called the coefficient of equivalence or alternate form reliability, is taken as an estimate of the reliability of the measurement. Internal consistency of measurement. The split half method, a common method for estimating internal consistency of a measurement. Two halves of a measure may be seen as constituting two alternative forms. It requires that the items that constitute a given measurement be split in half, for example, even versus odd questions on a test, or test A versus test B, and then each half is correlated with the other to find the measurement of reliability coefficients to make sure that both tests are equivalent. The standard error of measurement is an estimate of the standard deviation of the observed scores. It's used to assess the precision of a given measurement. It gives an indication of the variability that might be expected in the score of any individual if the measurement were to be repeated a number of times. So the standard error of measurement, let's say my threshold at 1000 hertz is 10, and then one day it's 15, another day it's 5. So the variability that might be expected in the score of any individual. The standard error of measurement. Small standard errors of measurement are associated with higher measurement reliability. The critical reader should look for both reliability coefficients and standard errors of measurement. A measure with good reliability has a high reliability coefficient and a low standard error of measurement. The validity of a measurement generally refers to the truthfulness of the measurement, the degree to which it measures what it's purported to measure. Validity is truthfulness or the correctness of a measurement. A reliable measure may be repeatable or precise, but it may not be true or correct. Content validity is established by the logical examination of the content of the test items. How well do test items sample the behavior or the characteristic that you're trying to measure? Subjective procedure to logically or rationally evaluate what the researchers intend to measure. The analysis is done by the researcher or by a panel of judges assembled by the researcher for this task. The analysis is not strictly an empirical measure of validity, more a rationale, and it may be subject to error arising from the particular bias of the judges. Criterion validity, established by empirical examination of how well the measure correlates with some outside validating criterion. The degree to which a measure correlates with known indicators of behavior it is supposed to measure gives an indication of the criterion validity. The two types differ with respect the time of administration of outside criterion. Concurrent validity is assessed when a measure and an outside validating criterion are administered at the same time. For example, it might be important to develop a less time-consuming method than the existing one. Concurrent validity of the shorter version will be established by how well it correlates with the longer version. For example, a 50-word list versus a 25-word list. The 25-word list has concurrent validity to the 50-word list. Predictive validity is assessed when a measure is used to predict some future behavior. A measure is administered, time elapses, then some criterion measure is administered. For example, how do SAT scores predict college success? They don't predict college success. There isn't that strong predictive validity. Under a high school student's GPA shows stronger predictive validity of college success. Construct validity, established by means of both empirical and rational examinations of the degree to which the measure reflects some theoretical construct or explanation of the behavior or the characteristic being measured. Factor analysis, a statistical technique for reducing a large number of variables to a smaller number of clusters of common variables that identify some common traits. The determination of how much the measure has in common with other measures known to fit certain theoretical constructs. An item analysis is used to measure the internal consistency of a measure. It's a statistical technique for correlating each item in the measure with the overall score to see if each item in the measure, in the construct, as well as the overall measure, to see how it fits in with the overall measure. For example, in your midterm, if everybody, more than half the class, did poorly on question 15, by looking at an item analysis, I would see that that wasn't a good question. The greatest problem in establishing construct validity lies in the validity of the correctness of the theoretical constructs used to predict the performance.